second preseason game of the Bills is in the books, and squaring up against a team in the Broncos that kind of held their starters off, it might not seem on the face of it that much can be gathered. But this is not true. You can't gather, it's the same stuff that you're going to get in a regular season game, but you want to see your guys winning whoever they're playing against, going across against, and you want to see their techniques, you want to see their confidence, you want to see their skill sets, you want to see everything in a trending up. And when you view it in that kind of lens, there's a lot to be pulled, even when starters go against second string. Now, this changes depending on the position, depending on the unit, and really the defense was less valuable to see today than the offense. And so I really want to just focus on the Bills' offense because there was a lot of interesting and good stuff to talk about. But all the fun and the excitement of the game needs to be put secondary. And I need to say first, the primary thing is my condolences to the Knox family and to the Bills fan base, because the Bills love their team and invested in their players. And Dawson Knox is one of the beloved guys on a team that I always hear how much people love Dawson Knox, and his brother passing tragically. The Knox family must be in just such undescribable pain. And a little quick thing, I've been through a lot. I mean, skin's melted off, cut like you wouldn't believe multiple times, broken bones. And, I handle it pretty good. I'm not Rambo or anything, but I handle it pretty good. But when I heard that this young kid passed at that age, my young son was right next to me, and I immediately felt a drop in my stomach when I looked over to him. That hits your heart. Kids, family being hurt and losing family is beyond the worst thing that I can possibly imagine. So I want to give that shout out. It's terrible. I pray for that family. I pray for the fan base. Now on to the secondary football side of things. I really want to do a better job this season for multiple fan bases. I want to do obviously better for my Finns fans. I invest a lot into them, but Bills, Titans, Colts, and a couple other teams that I'm really got my eye on. I'm working on being more efficient and getting stuff out quicker. Ran into a technological snafu in one podcast I meant to get out. Didn't happen. But anyway, I'm going to do a better job for you. And today is going to be an overview, and I'm going to dial into your offensive line to show you some of the things that I'm talking about so you can have the footage in your belt, because I want to create tape, real tape, for fans of different teams to have that in their toolkit so they can evaluate where their team is going. And the Bills, clearly, we are seeing they are on a sky-high trajectory. And barring Allen not playing for substantially long periods of time, this is going to be a very special season for the Buffalo Bills and their fans. Now, I hope my Dolphins shock the world, and I'm not saying you guys are going to the Super Bowl, but clearly this team is on a whole nother level. And there's so much to talk about, but I just want to get into a few parts. And I'm going to do chapters because sometimes I can run along at the mouth, or maybe certain topics aren't as interesting for you fans. And I'm looking to have improve the quality of life for my viewers, my awesome viewers. So I'm going to have chapter marked where you can go to. Don't break the Dolphins mug. That'd be bad mojo. So it's going to be offensive line first, because I always try to find a reason to talk about offensive line. I love it. And then we're going to do backs, wide receivers, and Allen, just focusing on the offense. And then I'm going to try to get some tape out for you guys this week on the offensive line to show you some of the things that I'm saying, so you can, if you don't see it already, that you'll have that for your little, viewing pleasure. Anyway, before I get into all that stuff, want to say thank you for stopping by here. So many places you could be, so many great channels, so many great content creators. And so when you spend your very precious time here, I am very grateful for the likes, the subscribes, the views, and especially the comments. But I'm going to give a quick shout out also to my sponsors, Ace Per Head, because without you guys and without them, this show isn't happening, and I'm really having a blast. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so I'm an offensive line guy. When I did my little college thing, I would always stop because the run back drills would end first. Offensive linemen always had longer practices. I don't know if that's traditional for all other, coaching staffs, but mine, maybe they sucked. I don't know, whatever. I would just sit on the grass and watch the coach teach them because it was fascinating to me. And the more I became savvy with the game, the more I understood that I don't care what running back you are, quarterback you are, receiver you are, even a defense. If that offensive line is not producing at a quality level, it doesn't have to be great, but a quality level, the entire team is sucked down a toilet bowl. And you are restricted by your offensive line. No team has ever won a Super Bowl without at least a pretty good offensive line. So I want to dig into your offensive line, and I did a podcast a little while back saying I was a little concerned about all the injuries. Not that they were bad, but there was so much flux going on. I was wondering if that chemistry wasn't going to be there and you guys weren't going to be ready to rock and roll and come out of the chute to really get a fast-paced start to the season so you can take first place in the AFC, have everybody come to Buffalo, and you guys can finally get your long-awaited dream. Now, Saffold came back from broken ribs very quick. This guy is a beast of a man and a tough guy indeed. Came back quick. A lot of the injuries concerns look like they've been alleviated. And what's a better thing that I had mentioned in the last podcast, but it's very, very clear by watching the tape, again, now 2 weeks in a row, the depth on this offensive line is phenomenal, guys. And I do believe there's going to be some surprises for you Bills fans on this offensive line in the second tier. Again, I don't like to say that as a Dolphins fan because my offensive line right now is all over the joint, and that where it's all over, but where it's all over isn't good. So hopefully that will change, but you guys are in a great place. Now, there was some interesting stuff. I was watching Deion Dawkins start off, and he really had like 2 or 3 4 bad snaps. Like, what? But he quickly pulled himself together, and this is why I think the preseason games are so good. It forces you to remember how much you have to work and how you have to have your technique, even if you're a guy as talented as Dawkins, in place. And he went from some real terrible technique, and I'll show you, whoa, to I got it down again. And that was really good to see as a guy, as a football viewer, and for the direction of your offensive line. And then Saffold next to him and Saffold, they really came to it. Another level in their run blocking, pass blocking, working together. Saffold is an absolute beast in direct contact and then even getting into the second level, which is very, very surprising to say that you guys are now have a lockdown left side. I mean, a real, true, possibly elite side of the football. Then you got to your center, and you got Morse in there at center. He was pretty good. Spencer Brown has been working back from his back surgery, and you had Quisenberry over at the right tackle. And Quisenberry did pretty good. I'm really not too high on Bates. I thought that he made a few flaws that I really wasn't too crazy about. But the scary part for you guys is Spencer Brown came in that second string group, and he looked pretty good. He looked real good last year, and this guy is only going to get better. And as good as this offensive line looked in the first group, when Quisenberry gets into that right guard spot, because I think he's going to take it, he's just a much more physically imposing and dominating player. And he played pretty good at right tackle, but when you limit his space at right guard, his play is going to go up, and I think he's going to take that right guard spot. And I think Spencer Brown's going to come in there. And then when you have Dawkins, Saffold, Morse, Quisenberry, and Spencer Brown at the end, that's going to be a really, really good offensive line. But scary part for other teams out there, and the great part for you guys is the depth. Van Rotten came in and played right guard, and I really, really liked him. And my guy, he's my guy now. I always love the guys that screw up and then they've got to make themselves like a redemption song. Cody Ford is on a redemption tour. Again, I'm not saying this guy's going to be elite, but he had some, he had the hand to the face, and there was one play where he overset and lost leverage, but the play still went off really well. But aside from that, he had 2 pull blocks that were the key blocks or spring blocks for touchdowns. He had 2 more pancake blocks. He had some excellent pass blocking throughout. And I think this guy is definitely growing. I'm going to do a substantial amount of tape as a laugh. I'm sure some of you Bills fans are going to be like laughing. But I'm telling you, this guy is going to make good at least to be a quality guard. And his ability to go right and left is such a huge asset that he can cover 2 spots, and he did look capable. Yes, it wasn't the elite starters and all this other stuff, but as a backup, if you're going against second string and you're pretty much dominating him, that means you're a quality backup. And I still think this guy could get a little bit better than that. So that's my little redemption song. I'm taking Ford under my belt. Under my wing. I think you're gonna be happy with this dude. Overall, the offensive line. I think you saw Mansk, Mancz. He was a Dolphin, I believe, and we couldn't use him. He came in. He was pretty good for you guys. You guys are set all along that front, except for maybe left tackle. I don't think there's anybody who really can come in and accurately, portray Dawkins in a equal skill set. And I don't know if there's like really anybody who can come on into that spot and really fill it up. Maybe Quisenberry, maybe Brown. I don't know. That's the only hole I see right there is Dawkins has got to stay up all season. But other than that, you guys are deep, deep, deep and talented across the board. It's going to be very scary. You could see what they did in the run game and the pass game. Speaking of the run game, that's my original passion. But I understand that the run game flows through the offensive line. And, they were saying, like, what's this Cook guy? Well, he looked so good this week. He looked like garbage last week. The holes were wide and big, and that makes any running back look good. Cook is going to get there. He's going to get better. He's still a little tentative when things aren't going on schedule, or he's got to make, close to the line of scrimmage, read and react. He gets a little frozen. He has a tendency to bounce it outside. That's normal for a guy like that, and he's going to develop. But when you get space, and as the game slows down for him, you can see what this guy could do. He is fast. He's active. He's going to be a good player for you. But that space really was like cavernous, And even with that, you can still see what a back does with lots of space, how they handle it. If they have lots of space, do they make that extra distance? Do they make that guy at the second level miss? And Singletary Motor, as I've come to realize that is his nickname. It's funny, I'm learning all the teams' nicknames now. I'm falling deep down this rabbit hole. Anyway, Motor, Singletary, I love the 5'7", 203. 5'8", 203 was Barry. Love it. He's not Barry, but you could see him making guys miss. You could see that suddenness in his movement. You could see the physicality. This guy's going to have a great year. I was in my first fantasy draft with Tommy over at Mafia Sports Talk, and I wanted to draft Singletary. And then they had this thing like auto draft on him. I couldn't figure it out. Totally screwed it up. I had on and off. I ended up with Damian Harris in the second round. I don't think that's good. But anyway, I think Singletary is going to have one heck of a year this year. I don't think he's going to be a bell cow because when you saw Moss, I'm a big fan of Moss too, and I think these 3 running backs are going to balance out the carries, keep them fresh going into the postseason, and each one plays a different role. Now, I think Tommy might be right, and some of you guys saying Duke might not make it. I don't think Duke even got a touch until the second half. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. But these 3 backs, the hammer Moss, the utility movement skill guy in Singletary, and just the speedster and third down kind of back and Cook, looks like it's going to be a winner for you guys. Then there's the receivers. Davis looks like he's going to do something special this season. The light just seemed to come on. Bills and Allen seemed to trust him, and he was having a field day. And Diggs came in and he had his one big catch. He's like, all right, this is great. Everyone's not focused on me now. I'm going off to the side. I got my big catch. That's what it's going to be like all season. Teams are going to have a very hard time focusing on Davis, focusing on Diggs, focusing on both of them. And then you got Shakir in the background, Knox when he comes back, and you got all these other guys in the background that can get one-on-one coverage, but you're not going to be able to really double Diggs and Davis, and they're both going to be a nightmare. Both going to be a nightmare. And Shakir, I think this guy is definitely going to stick, and I think he's going to actually produce maybe like 400 or 500 yards this season. I think he's going to come in and really play that nickel kind of spot where Beasley was at. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not a Bills connoisseur here, but that's what I'm seeing right away at this early juncture. And then lastly, there's Allen. That step into the pocket, turn around, step out of the pocket, and nail Davis 40 yards down the field. My first time I was like, I'd never seen that before. This is incredible. I realize I have. Guys have done that, but we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Not Dan Marino. He doesn't do the spin, but he would step and come back and throw. I mean, you're talking the best of the best talent. And Allen is the game is slowing down for him. For him to see Davis and no, I need to buy a second or two to get in there, roll back out, and come back in and to hit him. He had to keep all this movement together in his mind and his body as he stepped forward, turned around, and got back and relocated him and fired with almost minimal effort. It's almost laughable at all the people going into last season that said Allen is overhyped. He's coming down to earth. Where are those people? You don't hear from them anymore. They're gone. They moved on to something else. It's ridiculous. This guy is special. I mean, special. And I think this season there might be some outliers there. I think I was gonna do a podcast for you guys. I heard someplace that somebody wrote an article that Allen was going to see a regression this year. No, he won't. And these guys, they're going to be silencio at the end of the season. Sadly to say, I wish he was a Dolphin, but he's not. Anyway, so overall, this offense, we know the defense. I mean, you didn't have Poyer, you didn't have Hyde in, you didn't have Miller in. The defense is jacked up. It looks like those corners are decent corners until Trey White gets in. You guys are going to be able to hold it all down. This is all set for the Bills to have their success. And, again, no substantial injuries. 2 preseason games, no substantial injuries. Get through this third one, and you guys have done about as well in a preseason training camp as could be expected. It's all right in front of you. We'll see how it plays out. Sometimes things don't always play out the way you want or as expected or as they should be. That's the beauty and horror of football. Going to enjoy covering you guys. Next week's going to be a dead zone probably for players out there that are all going to be resting and stuff like that. So this is probably the last real opportunity to give you some good information on your team. I'm going to try to get some film maybe out for you guys. But good luck in the 2022 season. I do hope my Dolphins shock you. I do hope some miracle happens, that we are at the top of the division. But I just, as a football analyst, don't see that. I don't see how that's going to happen. And I think you guys are going to get to that big Super Bowl. And hopefully this time, if that happens, it's not my Fins, you guys can get your due. But we'll see. Anyway, this is Kurt saying thanks for staying to the end. Good luck, Bills fans. See you on the field. I hope we all have a great season and enjoy the awesome, awesome game of football. Kurt saying be well. Catch you next time. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.